We talked a little bit, not last week, the week before, about the importance of strategically planning your year. So this is a practice that I have done for probably nearly 15 years. I was looking back at my old records. And I don't know why I started doing it. I think it was when I worked for Royal Caribbean and guest activities. I had a coworker, the amazing Allison Fraser, if you guys ever knew her. And throughout the year, one of the things that she did, and I picked up the habit, was every time she accomplished something, she would put it onto this Word document that she kept on the desktop of her computer. And so when it came time for her performance review at the end of the year, she had this beautiful document of all of the stuff that she did. So I think in corporate America or in any job that we have, it's really easy at the beginning of the year for you and your boss to come up with what your goals are that you want to accomplish. But it's difficult for us to remember to go back and look at it, or it's easy for us to lose sight of other priorities that got in the way of us accomplishing our goals. So typically in a corporate environment, you're going to set maybe 6 to 8 goals that you want to accomplish across the year. So this would be like big ship transitions or big projects that you had to work on, and ratings that you had to achieve, revenues that you had to achieve. And those are kind of your measurable things in your goals. And so I kind of took this and said, how can I do this in my personal? And I started doing it in my professional life. And then when I left corporate America, I started doing it in my personal life. And so the thing that in the professional life, I ended up getting all of my direct reports, the managers that worked for me, to do this for their respective departments. But the real big shift for me is when I left this corporate environment, I didn't have these KPIs or these specific metrics that I'm being measured against for my evaluation at the end of the year. Is that I said, okay, let me think about what this looks like on a corporate or on a personal level. So what we're going to do is just super, super simple, is we're going to walk through kind of the thought process of you guys doing this on your own. So I'm going to share my screen because, again, this is going to be, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type it into the comments, or please feel free to raise your hand and I'm happy to call on you. So this is a template that Wilhelmina sent the link to right there. And I am going to see if I can get I'm going to zoom in a little bit for us. Oops, not that much. So essentially what the key is for this, and this is literally the template that I use. So I just made it generic for you guys. So the first thing is you're going to go at the top, and I'm going to do it for Christian Franco, right? I think that's a good start. So I always put my name at the top. I know it sounds a little cheesy. And then I always put a revision date in here. Okay. And I'll explain to you guys why that's important later on. Because you need to think of this as an active, living, breathing document for yourself. So this is kind of the thing that you are going in, checking in, working on throughout the year. And this, I think, is really, really important as part of your reflection of your existing year and your development of your future year. So what I did in my template, because I think I told you guys I already started working on mine, is I do it super simple. Is I put here 2023. Is in 2023, you are going to take a day where you're just going to go through your calendar. So go through your calendar, go through your journal, go through your notes from the year before. And you're going to say from 2023, here are some of the things that I accomplished. So let's say I lost 10 pounds. Let's say that I read 10 books. Let's say I exercised 3 times. That might be an accomplishment. Maybe it's 3 times in total in the whole year. And let's say I achieved something at work. So launched Ship2Shore. That's what I know about, Christian. I'll read some of mine. So you're going to go here and you're going to write the little things and you're going to write the big things that you You did. And you're going to write the things that are work related, and you're going to write the things that are personal. Like had 12 date nights with Sebastian. Let's see. I'm reading my own, obviously, because I know. I'm going to write water park with kids. So I'm going to say Disney with kids. You can put dates in there if you want to, whatever it is. You can write achieved revenue X number of millions or thousands. One of mine was opened high yield savings account, kids, opened invest or HSA. I opened it this year. I opened a health savings account. So just go through your records and start. I revised I call it a money machine worksheet. This is an important worksheet for us, for our family. So I go through every single thing, small, big, went to France, all those things throughout your year, and make sure you're spending a couple hours doing this, reflecting, being grateful, and thinking about the small achievements. Had a difficult conversation with somebody, had made a new friend, reached out to somebody in a time that was uncomfortable, did something special, this year I hosted Easter at my house. And I think I had like 25 people at my house, which that was a big thing, having a lot of people, a ton of kids, and it was just a really special, important day for us. So go through and highlight all of those things that are measurable, that are important for your life. And then part of that is, one of the things that I would always do in my professional is that I would highlight the things that were more important or more impactful for me. So I'd say, okay, this was important. Okay, this was important. I have my weekly coach. I have a weekly life coach. So like that was an important thing that I accomplished and didn't compromise in my life. So go through and do this exercise and write down every single thing that could possibly come to you. And then make sure that you're spending. And one of the exercises that Tony Robbins has taught us, and I found incredibly valuable, is that when you look at 2023, is that you're having so much gratitude for what you accomplished. And then you're having this real acknowledgement of what you want to do again. So you're doing this as the foundation before you start doing this next part. Okay. So I want to check really quickly if I did my, I already worked on mine, but I can't remember I kept my quote the same. So last year I had a quote, and I'll share what mine is, but you guys really, as you sit and you reflect on this, one of the things that Tony teaches is that you read out loud. So you're like, I lost 10 pounds. I read 10 books. I exercised 3 times. I launched Ship2Shore. I da. You're reading all of these things out loud to yourself, just to really, really soak it into your being, into yourself. And then go, these are the things that I want to repeat. These are the things that I want to do again. These are the things that I want to do bigger and want to do better. So let's say I exercise 3 times. Well, for me personally is that, I halfway through the year restarted my gym membership. I had a gym membership and then I stopped doing it and then I restarted it and I felt so much better. I go to the gym 3 times a week. So one of those things that would be a celebration for me. But now I'm going to put that up onto my 2024 is I want that to be one of the things, this habit. Remember, we talked about maybe 5 webinars ago about the book Atomic Habits, and creating habits, is that now I've made this routine of this exercise in my life. I want to make sure that that is a static part of my 2024. So going through and highlighting these things, and you guys can put symbols, you can put colors, you can put 2024. Like I want to make sure, well, this is not a great example of one, but I want to say that this is one of the things, like exercise 3 times a week. And I'm going to say 2024, this is one of the things that I want to lift up and put into my strategic plan for next year. So take a couple hours and do this really good reflection. And again, I find the most useful thing is I use my Google Calendar, because that's the thing that I use to kind of guide my life, is I use my Google Calendar and I just go through every single week and I laugh about these great memories that I have. I laugh about these great lunches or dinners or trips or achievements or meetings with people that were really, really impactful to my year. And I make sure that I did put them onto here. And then I make sure that I notate what I want to repeat. Does anybody have any questions over this process? Or does anybody find any challenges with this? Christian, does it seem like something doable?
No, it's a good stake on the ground to begin with. I mean, remember what I told you, that I usually look at the blank piece of paper and you just look at it and not know where to start. This is fantastic, because it's just
Yeah.
a copy paste of the good practices, sort of say.
Yeah, and I think it's twofold. Like, one is gratitude. I think, and that's the most important thing, is that there's so many people that talk about it, and actually there's a lot of research that backs it up, is that they really truly believe you can't experience happiness without gratitude. The two things just go hand in hand. The individuals that they study their lives and who say that they're genuinely happy, there's a direct correlation to them being grateful. And so anytime you're not experiencing happiness in your life or experience a season, then that's when you have to go down to the very, very simplistic things that are in your life. I woke up today. I'm breathing. I can walk. I have hot water. I have food. I can go to the grocery store and buy whatever I want to eat. I have access to go back to COVID days and think about the things that gotten taken away in that season of our life, is go back to those really, really simple things and start with that. And then go on to the bigger things, is that I have investments. I have a job. I have my mom still with me. I have kids. I have a relationship. You just go back to those little things. And this exercise allows you to literally go week by week. And imagine if you're just spending 1 minute a week and looking at your calendar, or looking at your journal, or looking at whatever that thing is. And if you don't document those things, go through your emails. Go through, I think Google right now, Google gives you historical mapping of where you've been. And so sometimes I'll look at that because I find it so interesting. I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe I went that many places. And it'll show you moving around your city, you're moving around, getting into, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I went to Raleigh in that moment, in that month. So even if you don't worry, your phone is tracking you. Even if you're not doing what I'm doing, where you're either writing it down or you're putting it into your actual calendar, you can look at the tools that are around you and just kind of spend 1 minute per week and just look at that week. In my Google Calendar, I do kind of I look at it on a weekly view, set up that weekly view, and just go over those things. And even if you can just come back with one thing that you accomplish each week, then you're going to get your list of 52, or you're going to start yourself on kind of this waterfall avalanche kind of thing of ideas. And you guys know, once you can get your brain into that mode of creativity, once you shut out the noise of the present moment, then you can start thinking about, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And the snowball starts getting bigger and the list starts getting longer. So take that time and slowly and thoughtfully make sure you spend a minimum of 1 hour. If you can spend a couple hours on that reflection, it's much more helpful. So you might go back and say, read 10 books. Okay, let me go through and think about what are the books. Like I'm reading one on happiness right now. No, on fun. There's a book that I'm reading on fun. I read like this, oh gosh, what was it called? There's a Colleen Hoover book. Oh, it's called Verity. That was like a freaky book. There was another, it ends with us. It starts with us. And just start going through, because you're living through you spend hours reading a book. You're living through those moments and that memories. And I'm like, oh, that was a great book. Oh, that was a good thing. And then you're all of a sudden, you're able to quantify what you did with this gift of time that you got in a year. And you're able to quantify that, hey, that brings me joy, and I like doing that. So how do I do more of it? And how do I put a stake in the ground in next year that I'm going to keep doing it? And one of the things that, like, for me at least, that I've worked with on my coach is that I can very quickly see now is when my anxiety is getting higher, when I'm starting to worry, when I'm getting into my head and I'm not getting into the visionary part of myself. And like, one of my signs is like I start biting my fingernails, or like my cuticles around my fingernails, when I'm nervous. And so I'm like, if you guys see me ever, and I'm like going like this, especially to my team, that's a sign for me that my anxiety's high. Or I start skipping meals. So I won't have lunch. Like, for lunch is like prime time. That's when I start. And so I start red flagging it because it's something that I overcame. I stopped doing the nail biting. So when it starts creeping into my life, then I'm able to say, hey, no, I don't want that anymore. I want this instead. And so we're just doing this on the side of, I did these things, and these things in my year were really, really great. How do I schedule my year next year? And I don't say schedule with rigidity. I say it with real flexibility and honoring of yourself. How do I put stakes in the ground for my year next year so I do more of it because it brought me joy? And like, for me, I know you guys have heard me talk about it, like, it's very rare that I buy books. I'll only buy books if I can't get them from the library. But I have like our public library app where you can download books for free. And I also I'll go physically to the library with my kids and just kind of look through and grab a book every 2 weeks. So I always have a physical book in my purse, and then I always have a book on my phone. And then I'll say, like, morning podcast. Like, I've been really religious about listening to podcasts in the morning. I have my Ship2Shore webinar. So just keep building that list. And then this is when you get to here. So spend a couple hours doing that kind of digestion. And then after you do that, you go, okay, this is what I loved about my year. This is what was great. You could write the things that were challenging about your year, that were a little bit more difficult, that helped you learn. So there might be, so we closed one of our companies. So the closing of that company, that was a celebration. And that was also like the closing of a chapter. And it was a challenge. It's a challenge to close a company, but also there's something that you're able to celebrate about, hey, I did this. I opened, developed, and then closed a company. And so I had all those learnings that came along with it. So as you look at all of those, this is going to help you on this really, real first part. I really challenge you guys to think about a quote for your year. So put this as the headline to the article of your year. So mine personally is design the life you desire. That's my quote. That was my quote this year. It's going to be my quote again next year. And it was just kind of this thing that I started saying, but you guys think about, what is the one that you want for your year? Like, it could be something related to your family. It could be something related to giving. It could be something that you heard someone else say. I have a really great Maya Angelou quote. You could use ChatGPT and put in there, hey, give me some good quotes about this. But really dig deep and say, hey, what did I love about last year? What did I not love about last year? What do I want to do more of? And what's that kind of headline that is, over the top of your head, over your entire life as you're walking around? And really, for me, this concept of designing the life you desire is going like, my life doesn't have to look like what the textbooks say it needs to look like. You don't have to, get a job, work really hard, get married, have kids, buy the house. You don't have to follow this pattern. Oh, there's a really great book that I read this year that was called Die with Zero. Die with Zero. Oh, it was a great book. It was a financial book. But that book was like, all these little things are seeds that help develop and guide you on the path of where you end up wanting to go. But this design your life you desire is that it's kind of this moment that, like, I get to decide what my year looks like. I get to decide what my day looks like. I get to decide, and I might do things that are unconventional and that some people wouldn't be comfortable with and that are risky. But this is the life that I desire, and I'm making a conscious choice. And I also think about it like with my thoughts, with my actions, is that I am designing, I'm making a choice to be upset. I'm making it a choice to be offended. I'm making it a choice to be joyful. I'm making it a choice to have fun. So every single thing, life doesn't happen to me. I'm not a victim of the things that happens around me. I get to decide and design what it's going to look like. So let me talk you through now the sections. Now, you don't need to get overwhelmed that we're looking at the entire year in one. I will say that your Q1 and your Q2 are going to be the things that are going to be heavier when you're going through this process. So these are, Q1 should be one that you pretty much develop out, because this is the next 3 months for you. And then the Q2 and then it starts getting a little bit lighter, and there's going to be a little bit more of TBD, I always call, like to be determined, that are going to go in there. So this big rock, the one thing that must get done, but it's going to take 3 months to do. Now, unfortunately or fortunately for me, is that like I ended up having a couple rocks. Like I ended up putting our company names, and I put XYZ. I put Ship2Shore XYZ, and I think I put personal XYZ. I put whatever that thing is. So that you guys can just do one, or if you have like a personal one and a professional one that you want to put in there, feel free to break it down. But this is kind of your non-negotiable thing that you are going to accomplish this quarter. Non-negotiable. So it's going to be like, it could be something as simple as learn to scuba dive, right? It could be something as big as like establish and work to a monthly budget. Or you could say live off of X dollars a month. This is your big rock that you know that you're going to have to do work to achieve. Okay. But think big, push yourself, and do something that is going to actually move your life forward. Let's say you're that person that's struggling with your finances and not managing them well, is that you're saying, I'm going to this quarter, every single month, have a weekly check-in, going to get a mentor, going to do something so that I get my finances in order. And you could even say, get finances in order, whatever that is, get investments in order. But this is your big, big rock. If you can make it measurable, even better. So if you're, instead of getting finances order, you're going to say, I'm going to work, or let's say you're going to do 50, 30, 20. And this was, we talked about this in our finance one. This is a budgeting, a personal budgeting philosophy. It's called 50, 30, 20. It's basically of all of your income that comes in, 50% is going to your needs, 30% is going to your wants, and 20% is going to your savings. And so I'm going to live a 50, 30, 20 thing. I'm going to pay off debt plan to pay off debt. So if you're somebody who you're not managing your finances well, this is a big rock to undertake. So this is one of those things that you're saying non-negotiable. I'm going to do this quarter, and you got 3 months. So personal. This one is, and I put these into these buckets. You guys can obviously change it. Historically, when I had multiple departments under me, or as we have multiple companies, is I will break these into personal, and I'll put company A, company B, etc. And then CANI, I put it as development, but CANI is a acronym for constant and never-ending improvement. So this is kind of this philosophy that Tony Robbins gives it to us. It's a bunch of other people. It's kind of going, hey, my development, my personal development is really, really important to me. And so I'm going to make sure that it gets done. And in your canny is, I would encourage you that it aligns to whatever your rock is. So if you have a challenge with money and you want to establish a budget and pay off debt, I would make sure that whatever you put in your canny is something like a finance class. Let's say you're going to go to a seminar that is directly related to finance, budgeting, something like that. Buy an online course, take an online course. We've talked about Coursera, which is a free online program. And then day to day, these are the things that are not necessarily achievements that you're going to get done over the quarter, but these are kind of the non-negotiables that you want to have within your life. So I put walk. Some people it's, I want to have 10,000 steps a day, 5,000 steps a day. I want to move my body for 10 minutes a day. But make sure it's something that's super achievable. Don't put in here like, I'm going to run 10 miles a day if you're not a runner. That's why I put the example of walk 10 minutes a day. It's kind of this, I'm putting the stake in the ground that I am important. My health is important. And I can just do something as simple as that. It might be meditation is one for me. Reading is another one. So think about, you guys, we've talked about the phone doom scrolling. Like, you're saying that I'm going to set up with a rule that no social media until I read. And then schedule review every night. This is a commitment that I make to myself, that before I go to bed, I'm going to make sure that I review my schedule every evening. And these are really simple, achievable things. 10 minutes a day, read 30 minutes a day, and then schedule review every evening. So think about what that looks like for you. And also go back to your 2023 and say, hey, when I was jamming, when I'm moving in the best version of myself, what are the things that are present in my life when I'm doing that? And then these are the things that end up in this day-to-day. And then last thing is goals. This is something that I always just have on there. And this was from probably dripping over from my corporate world, is that my rule behind this is that you're having SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And so my example is, I'm going to spend 10 hours a week one-on-one with my children. Okay. That this is just important to me, that I want to spend 10 hours a week one-on-one. That's 5 hours per kid, right? I'm going to create $100 a month in passive income. That this is one of the goals. And you guys, you're going to be shocked when you write it down, when you put it on a Post-it note on your mirror. It happens because all the other noise that's happening in your life starts falling by the wayside. So I've walked you guys through these categories. Big rocks. Does everybody feel like they understand big rocks? Your big one, hairy. I think somebody calls it a big hairy something. I don't remember, but it's this big thing that you say that you're going to do. Okay. Then you're going to talk about 2 or 3 things that you will accomplish. So for an example, last year for me it was really important for me to have fun with my family. So one of the goals that I had was that I wanted to have one planned family activity per month. Give yourselves 2 or 3 things in this personal category that are important for you. Okay. So it may be, and look back to what you loved about this last year and look back to what you would like to achieve. So I think on my personal one, I put something, I paid for a scuba. Oops. Sorry, guys. I had paid for a scuba class ages ago, and I never went to it. And so I put that one of my things was I used to scuba dive, and I wanted to get my recertification just to up it. So I said, all right, Barbara, enough. You paid for this class. You never went to the class. That's something that personally I'm going to, my scuba, we're going to be traveling next year. So that's going to be important. My scuba recertification, I want to make sure that I do. And let's say that we leave our planned family activity per month. So as you're going in and you're looking at this quarter, you're going, all right, I got to do one. That means you got to think of 3 things in a quarter, just 3 things. So think about those 3 things, write it down, talk to your family about it, and then come up with 1 or 2 other ones. It might be related to your eating. It might be related to your exercise. It might be related to time with somebody. One of the things that I've been wanting to do is related to my grandma is record Oma's story. Like, I know what that means. Just go, hey, these are the things that would make me really excited. And then next thing is professional. So in the professional category, you're going to put 2 to 3 things. And this is not the stuff that's going in your boss's goal or development plan for you. This is the stuff that you want to, let's say, find a mentor. Let's say apply for 3 new jobs. Whatever those things may be for you. Something that professionally take an accounting class. And I'm putting this in there versus the canny because I think that maybe, let's say that you want to learn accounting specifically for your job. That's why I'm putting it in that bucket. And then the next one is your development. So in your development, think about something like, I have a coach. You guys don't have to hire a coach or have a counselor or have a therapist or pay money for something. You could join a women's group. You could join a group at your church. You could apply. Like, there are so many networking groups that are out there that are really self-development. You could take, there's a course that I bought, gosh, it was last year, at the end of last year, I bought this relationship course. So I think the course was $200 and it was an online course. So I can't remember who it's called the Allison something course. So I'm going to take that course, and it was a long course. I think it was 24 hours or something to do it. So that's something that I can knock off in 3 months. Finance. I put these categories as class and seminar. Is that, think about a class that you can take. Think about a seminar that you can do. Is that my husband and I, we're always doing something. Last week, I just did a course that was on this. It's called Entrepreneur Operating System. That was a 2-day course. So that's one of the things that I would write down on my, the achievement side. And then remember, 2023, one of the things that you're going to do as you go into this year is you're going to start creating your 2024 list. Okay. And just keep it super simple, bulleted. So in 2024, in 2024, you're going to say EOS class. I did it in November, for example. Let's pretend it's 2024. You're just going to, as you go through, so start throwing stuff on this list. So start thinking about and many of you, like, I would probably say the majority of the people are not sitting down and doing an exercise like this. They're not sitting down and saying, okay, over the next 3 months, what class or development can I do of myself? And I would say, even if you can't afford a class, say that you're going to watch, like someone that is in the finance world, that you're going to watch all of their podcasts. Robert Kawasaki is one of the finance dudes that I like. So let's read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then say watch 2 podcasts or 3 podcasts. Let's make it a little bit heftier, 1 a month. That you're going to develop this area. Let's say you want to invest in real estate. That's one of your goals. So let's first start educating yourself on it. And then down to the day-to-day is that then think of the things that are going to be important for you to really, really stick to, and make sure that they're things that are achievable. And then in your goals section, then think about what are these goals that really, truly are ones that you can commit to doing throughout the year. You have an entire year to do them, but really think about them being specific and measurable, right? So you're going to create $100 in passive income. Write that stuff, print this thing out, and I have it posted on my wall above where I work. If you're not at your office, you don't sit down, put it in your wallet, put it in your car, laminate it. So when you're sitting at a stoplight, that you're picking that bugger up and you're reading it and looking at it and going, hey, this is the thing that I said that I wanted to do for myself this year. God knows I'm going to get it done. Hang it in your bathroom, laminate it, and put it in your shower if you claim that you have no time. I don't care what you do with it. But now I'm going to talk you through kind of the progress as you go through the year. Do you guys have any questions about these columns or these specific categories that need some clarification?
Barbara, can you remind us what the CANI stands for? Continuous and never-ending.
Continuous and never-ending improvement.
Okay.
Okay. Never-ending improvement. I'm going to make it teeny, 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 tiny. Continuous and never-ending improvement. Okay. And it's like a cool word because it's like canny. It's me. Can I do it? Canny. It's like, no, we can't do everything. No, we don't know how to do everything, but we can learn. And again, the book, I didn't read it this year. Oh, I read some great books this year. I'm going to add some. I read this one called Shallow Roots by my coach. That was a great book. I read The Go Giver. Oh, this was a great book. I read what was the other one? Oh gosh, what was that one? I'll think of it. It's a little yellow book that was life-changing. But just think about, and maybe your canny is reading a book around a specific category, reading a book once a month, whatever that thing is, make sure that you're developing that area that you want to focus on and improve. So the next thing is that as you go into your next quarter, you're going to, and part of this process is you're probably going to dump too much into your first quarter. And so start thinking about and questioning, is it really realistic to get this done, and breaking things across other quarters. Okay. So then as you start working, so let's say that I'm saying, Barbara, that's not possible. I'm going to move this thing over here. Okay. And then also add in here, I put like spring break vacation, like say, hey, spring break's coming up. The planning of that is important, and the accomplishment of that is important. You have money, you have time, you have planning that you have to do. So make sure that you're setting that off as a personal goal and you're putting intention behind it. Because if not, it's going to happen by accident. And then you're going to wake up and go, oh, it's spring break. What are we going to do? Where it could be something that you plan and you get excited and you save for. So the other thing that I was going to do is that what I do is, if there is something, so let's say I accomplished this thing is, hang on, I can't remember how to find it in here. What I do is I strike through. It used to be as a favorite. There it is. Is once I do something, I strike it through. So as you're going through, and set aside maybe an hour a month. I don't think you need any more than that, but you're going to put it on your calendar. Say it's the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month, that you're going to sit down on a Friday, get a cup of coffee, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and just go through this and go, how am I doing on what I said I was going to do this quarter? And you X off the things that you accomplished. Okay. So let's say you're going through your quarter and you're going, yes, I did this. Yes, I did this. Oh, I'm still working on this. I'm still working on this. Okay. Then when you get to, there's going to be stuff. You're probably going to get 80% done on what you put on here. It's just not realistic that you're going to get it all done. Okay. So 80% is a pretty good number. What I do is, if I move something between quarters, is I put it in italics. Okay. So then I take this and I'm going to put it onto here, because I'm saying, hey, this scuba recertification is still important to me. I want to make sure it's done, but I want to give myself visibility for if I moved it. Okay. I want to give myself account. And I used to put like a little arrow that it got moved over from the previous quarter. And I used to put one here as well. Is I would say, hey, this is one of the things that got moved over. So when I'm looking at next quarter, I kind of subtly start prioritizing that thing. And if I'm still not doing the scuba recertification, I go, do I really want this? Why do I keep procrastinating this one thing? And I start digging into why I might be procrastinating. And so let's say in Q1 that we had put plan to pay off debt and this 50-20 lifestyle. And let's say that we didn't get it done, so we're going to move it over. Just make sure you italicize it so that you know that you're looking at why that it's in fact something that got moved. And then you guys, you just get to have this. You're going to reprint this once a month or as you update it. You're going to add new things, and especially in your professional life, all of a sudden you're going to have this project that popped up that you never expected that you were going to have to do. So it's going to bump something else off of your agenda, right? Because you had this new project. So let's say like there's a brand new, you got a new job, so it's going to be launched new department. So you're going to put something new in there, and maybe your other things are going to get removed. That's okay. This should be a flexible working document. And then one of the other things that I do here is that I put to be determined, to be determined. And I try and do something balanced. So I want to say, okay, this has been quarter one and quarter two were really like intense money budgeting type of thing. Maybe I want to, in my big rock for quarter three wants to be something dream related. So I want to do something cool and exciting and out of the ordinary because I had two relatively serious quarters. Okay. So maybe it's like an investment in an Airbnb. Maybe it's an investment in real estate. Maybe it's getting your kid into a special school because you found out your kid has special needs. Like it may be something that's a little bit out of the ordinary from these other two. And I think that's really, really good to keep life exciting and different, right? And then just start working through each one of these columns through each, and your day-to-days are the things that are going to copy and paste throughout. But let's say that you start reviewing this and you're like, heck, I got 20 minutes a day down. I'm going to start doing 30 minutes a day. And hey, I got 30 minutes a day down. I'm actually reading for 60 minutes a day. Start upping your game or start changing your game. Let's say that you audiobook, like you, instead of reading, you're doing an audiobook 60 minutes a day. And you're like, okay, great, this works better for me. But you get to see your personal progression and how you're moving and changing throughout the year. And then again, my goals right here, I don't necessarily X off my goals. Sometimes I'll put a check mark here. I'll just change whatever the bulleting system is to check it off. But this is kind of one of those things that's like, okay, I did it, I move on. And it's just a non-negotiable that at the end of the year, imagine that you are your boss and you're going to have a performance review. These are the things that are going to go onto your performance review. These are the things that are just the things that you want to do and you have to do because it's part of your day-to-day life. But these are the ones that you're really, really, truly committing to. Okay. So I've talked for about 50 minutes here. So I want to be conscious if there is questions, concerns, confusion, Barbara, you're crazy, anything like that that is swirling through your head. And guys, if you get stuck in doing this process, take a pause, go for a walk, listen to a podcast, go down and look at your list again and go, all right, what about this do I love? What about this? Call somebody and say, hey, I'm working on my strategic plan for next year. What are some cool things that you do in your life that are really important to you that are non-negotiable? And listen to someone else's perspective. They're going to give you maybe 5 ideas. If you take 0.5 of one of their ideas, they say, hey, this is I get a massage once a week. Like, it's just important to me. I like it. I get cramps. I work out. I run. And you say, oh, that's interesting. I could maybe squeeze in a massage once a month or whatever that thing is. Or it could be something about doctor's appointments. Say you don't like going to the doctor or the dentist. Like, put this onto your strategic plan and say, hey, my medical appointments are going to be something that are important to me, a priority this year. Questions, concerns, Christian, anything to add?
No, oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I just have one question. This is kind of like after you've done this, how do you manage like if you don't hit one of your goals? Because for me, like every year, like you say that you have a quote at the top. My quote always is strive for progress, not for perfection, because I am very hard on myself.
Yep.
And I need to remember that, like, okay, I'm not necessarily gonna like get everything perfectly. Not everything's gonna work out perfectly, and not to be
Mm,
so hard on myself. Like, how do
mm.
you manage if you don't hit one of your goals?
Well, I think part of this process, and I'm super guilty of this, is that having all of it on one page, and literally the page limits your space. And so you can only put 2 or 3 things onto each one of these categories. And so for me, less is more, that I would rather be in a position where I accomplish more in a quarter, but my 2 or 3 non-negotiables are the things that happened. I think for me,
Okay.
that's important. But I also think that, like, if you have to move something, like I said, move it, but also ask, like, why did it not get done? It's not ever a hit on myself. It's just inquiry, just being a quiet observer of why something didn't get done, just going, oh, that's interesting. Like, oh, it probably didn't get done because this other thing crept into my life. It probably didn't get done because I'm afraid of it. It probably didn't get done. And just going, all right, this maybe scuba doesn't belong in my life anymore. Like, it's something that I want my old self, but maybe I don't really want it because I want time with my kids. And so maybe dig into the question of why you didn't do it, and then replace it with the thing that you really actually filled the time with, and celebrate that. I think that that would, because I think that we evolve as people, we evolve from quarter to quarter, we evolve from season to season. Like right now, I can say personally, I'm sitting in a season where, like, I want to be with my kids. It's important to me right now. But I had other seasons in my corporate life when my kids were tiny infants, when I was like oblivious to the fact that I was even a mother because my career was so important to me. You know, I was like, oh, they're in the way. Oh, I have a conference call. Oh, da, 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 da. But now this season, and just honoring that change in yourself and not having it be anything you ever feel bad over.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's, and Michelle, to speak to your season, like, hey, you've been called to serve right now in your season, to serve a beautiful life and a human being. And so that's a real cool, special thing. It's a season that you're not going to get back. And that's kind of how I see. And so I think that my brain a lot of times is so tied to production and achievement that I'm like, no, 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 no. This service that I'm doing through these 2 little human beings is achievement, right? When I see progress, when I see my son got a vaccine yesterday, and this was like the 3rd doctor I've taken him to, hours of negotiation to get this shot. And yeah, someone could perceive that as unproductive time. But for me, because my son has a special need, is that, hey, this is where I'm called to be right now. This is what's stretching me like a rubber band in my patience. And that I could feel embarrassment. I could feel all the stuff, but I'm going to go, no, God gave me this kid for a reason. And so I'm going to honor that and wasted is the wrong word, but the old me wasted hours of time trying to get this vaccine done. But no, it wasn't wasted time, because it was an investment in this little human, like honoring where he is and his fear. So just being super kind to yourself in that way.
I think anytime you make any progress with a medical professional, you need to pat yourself on the back, because I feel like so much stuff right now is jumping through hoops to get stuff done.
Yeah. 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 And just talking through, and I always use, I think maybe you guys have heard me say this before, is I always talk about time. Like anytime my brain goes into a place of like, oh my gosh, there's not enough time, like scarcity mode, like, oh my God, this thing with this doctor's going to be complicated. Anytime my brain goes into that, I immediately acknowledge and shift it as I go, no, there's enough time for everything that's important. There's every single door is going to open to me, and every single person's going to make it easy. Every single person, and I'm just kind of speaking life into what I want to happen. And it's amazing. Like this morning when I was running around like a chicken trying to get stuff done before this, I was like, no, Barbara, stop going on that track that there's not enough time to do all this stuff. Go on the track of there's more than enough time. I'm going to get it all done. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's amazing. I got everything done, and I'm here for you guys. So really truly shifting that and speaking life. And I think that this is part of the process, right? Is that you as a human is going that I'm important enough to sit down and give myself a day, give myself hours to plan out the things that I would like to be a part of my life, 3 months at a time. And I'm going to put it on my wall, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to say, yeah, these are the things that I want. And if I don't get them done, I'm going to be flexible and kind enough to myself to shift it and ask why I didn't get it done, and not have rigidity or harshness around it. Just go, all right, it shifted. Imagine, like, think about life. You can get sick. You can break a leg. You can have, and maybe my scuba recertification isn't going to happen for that reason. But break a leg is a huge example, but there could be other things that just shift those priorities and add those things in here and shift them. Christian, was there something you were going to add before?
No, just looking at the how you drafted it and how you put it in paper. It's always going to be the first quarter that looks the heftier, right? Because that's where you start the more, and then you start cascading down and moving down the year, I imagine. But it's always your first quarter that looks as hefty as that.
Yeah, always your first. I probably get like second quarter is like a little bit meatier, but also it starts opening up these pathways in your brain that see stuff that maybe you wouldn't have seen before. So if you say, hey, it's important for me, many of you have never done any development that's intentional. Like many of you haven't said, okay, I want to attend a class quarterly. I want to do it. And so all of a sudden, when you open those pathways into your brain and you say, hey, this is a possibility, and it's I'm important enough to do this, then all of a sudden, it's like when you buy a red car, all you see is red cars. Like all of a sudden you start seeing seminars, you could start getting invited to stuff. Your creepy phone starts pushing you things, pushing you messages of ads of stuff. Don't pay a lot of money for this stuff because there's so much free content out there. But you will be shocked that when you put the intention out there of your self-development, then stuff starts appearing. And like one of the Tony Robbins things that we're doing is like, it's two couples that we share in the enrollment for the class, and we do the class together. And so it's really cool because we're splitting the cost of the class, but also we have community and accountability automatically with people we love and we respect. So think about how you can also bring other people into that circle as you're saying, hey, I want to get my finances on track. I think I'm going to take a class, and someone else says, I want to do that too. And then you can possibly find synergies there. So I hope this provides some inspiration, some guidance, some tangible tools for direction. And again, this is not correct. This is not perfect. This is not the rule book. This is just the way that I've done it, and I've had success in doing it. And so if there's something that you guys can take away and adjust this template for how it could work for you, it might be too rigid for you. You guys might want it in a different format. Just figure out what it looks like for you, do a vision board and put all the stuff on the vision board. And if you're a visual person, do it that way. But go at minimum through the exercise of taking the day. Again, 365 days in the year. I think you can give one to yourself for this. The old cliche saying of like, time is the only commodity that we cannot get more of or get back. Like, you can always make more money. You can never make more time. You only got what you got, and we don't know what tomorrow is. We don't know. So we might as well be intentional and make sure that we use it in the right way.